back, guys. Welcome back, guys. This is round 2 of my little dry run. Oh, I need my mouse for clicker presentation. Okay, so I've shaved it down to about 10 minutes plus change, and I got to get it to 10 minutes. So let's close it up and see how far we get. So join me for the ride. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to pause, reset my timer, and here we go.
Oh no. Sarah. Move your hands, baby. I know, baby, I know. Listen to me, I know this hurts. You're gonna be okay, baby. Stay with me. I wanna pick you up. I know, baby, I know it hurts. Come on, baby, please. I know, baby, I know. Sarah. Baby. Don't do this to me, baby. Don't do this to me. Come on. No. 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 No.
Watching that moment, I remember the first time that my son got badly hurt. He was screaming, a bone-chilling sound that sliced right through me. He was begging me, "Dad, make it stop." And I was powerless. In that moment, I was right there with Joel. And in his daughter's death, I saw an unforgettable game mechanic that resonated with me for years. Let's break it down and take it down. Let's examine how AAA games achieve moments just like that one. So, if you've ever been asked to name the best game of all time, you will more than likely say, well, it's subjective. Well, of course it is. If it isn't, the game failed on every level. You see, subjectivity equals an emotional response, a personal relationship between you and the franchise. The last thing you want is for your audience to look at your game objectively. Excellence of execution goes beyond quirky gameplay or a clever mechanic. It is the ability to elicit the desired emotions from your target audience. That's it. You don't need to put your audience in the game. You need to have them invite your characters into their home, become part of their lives. An impactful emotional experience not only fosters a personal connection to a game, it builds a powerful cultural identity along with it. This is because our emotions provide the straightest line to discovering our own utility and ultimately our own self-actualization. Sounds lofty. After all, it is just escapist entertainment. Heroes and villains in a battle between right and wrong? Right and wrong. Let's take a look at that. What is right? Doing what you have to for the greater good? Or doing what you know is right no matter what the consequences? Whose side are you on? Jeremy Bentham for the greater good? Or Immanuel Kant for duty, honor, and your soul? Boy, this sounds a lot like we're in English Lit discussing theme. Well, of course we are. Games, movies, television, they are the proving ground for us to test our moral suppositions in a synthetic field of combat. Chris Crawford spoke of seeking deeper gameplay systems whilst exploring a larger array of thematic emotions. Jonathan Blow coined the term dynamical meaning from the experience of deriving a narrative from a series of well-designed mechanics. And Fumito Ueda evangelized design by subtraction, where game mechanics were stripped away if they failed to support the theme. So have I just walked you guys backwards into that tired old argument of story versus gameplay? I did. To show you that story versus gameplay doesn't exist, because the two are the same. Think about it. In its simplest form, a story is a problem that needs to be solved. And Warren Spector once said that you should give players problems, not puzzles. The fictional proving ground of games and stories allows the audience to engage via experiential learning with actively solving those high-risk, high-reward problems we face in life as we travel up Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Because that is the meta problem that we are trying to solve in our lives. And a great narrative mechanic gives us the opportunity to do just that within the safe confines of fiction. So then, what's the problem? Well, ludonarrative dissonance, where gameplay and story and avatar and player are misaligned. She's just been kidnapped, dragged screaming from your arms through a locked door, and you need to gather 1,000 metal coins to create a weapon. This happens in stories as well, by the way. It's called a MacGuffin. I mean, did anyone truly care about what happened to the Tesseract? Well, the game that came closest to recalibrating our sense of story and gameplay through its brilliant narrative mechanics is Naughty Dog's The Last of Us. It tackled one of the most dangerous pitfalls of ludonarrative dissonance, the companion. Although Ico succeeded in tying the well-being of the player to the companion, it never really released the player from feeling annoyingly obligated to protect her. Resident Evil 4's Ashley only succeeded in creating a far more annoying charge that also ended up working double duty in misogyny as well. A good narrative sequence can set the tone for a given cinematic. Here's how it's done. Pretty unremarkable clip, but deceptive in its simplicity. Number one, on a story level, it describes Joel and Ellie's somewhat adversarial relationship. Two, it releases the player from the burden of monitoring Ellie's every move by sending the message that the companion, to a certain degree, can take care of themselves. Three, it's a nod to the meta-narrative of the contempt players have for long and laborious tutorial levels, acknowledging the importance of gameplay through experiential learning. And four, well, mansplaining. At first glance, The Last of Us seems to follow the framework of those that share the genre. They're the tried and true mechanics, timed health packs that balance risk-reward, resource gathering and management, showing very little innovation in terms of mechanical design. However, it's their find the ladder contextual challenge and their sonar mechanic where we get a glimpse of what the designers discovered in terms of narrative mechanics. And that is, the heavy lifting of the narrative is done by the environment. Locomotion and combat are kept deliberately familiar to de-emphasize the dynamical meaning that begins to build in the levels, environments, to narrative design. Expositional dialogue cleverly dovetails with slow-paced moments, or a tutorial blended with a dramatic moment. When our principals encounter a clicker for the first time, the narrative puts the clicker right on their heels to this intense upshot, giving all kinds of screen power to the clicker until the player spots the object in the corner. And a secondary character grabs a similar object nearby and demonstrates what needs to be done. The choice is up to you. And there's your bottle, or if you prefer, a brick. The sonar allows you to place the enemy AI in context to your environment, and it also allows you to keep tabs on Ellie's location. Because of the narrative moment earlier, where Ellie demonstrated her independence, we know that we can freely engage the challenge of the clicker, but we never lose sight of the fact that we need to protect her. This is emotionally reinforced by the narrative moment when Joel's daughter dies. Thematically, The Last of Us asks us, whose side are we on? Jeremy Bentham or Immanuel Kant? The Last of Us stands firmly rooted in its theme. Marlene represents consequentialist reasoning.
Wait.
She has no problem killing an innocent 14-year-old girl to save humanity.
Please.
Joel, on the other hand,
You just come after her.
doesn't agree. Is his murder of Marlene right or wrong? That's what's so vexing, controversial, and polarizing about The Last of Us. You see, we are accustomed to the classic definition of the hero, the Jungian derivation, save the world. But it is not morally wrong to choose to save the ones you love. And this classic dilemma between consequentialist and non-consequentialist reasoning is what makes The Last of Us confounding, revealing, infuriating, and ultimately unforgettable. So, is The Last of Us just another linear movie encapsulated in the dressings of a video game? Well, consider this. A single strategically placed prop foreshadowed one of the most memorable cinematic moments in game history. Game elements and cinematic elements can indeed unfold together in the same narrative direction. And when it works, we as an audience can celebrate these moments with our characters. Or we can share in their loss. In that way, a simple narrative mechanic can transcend itself and become a truly profound experience. The Last of Us did exactly that. Man, 9 minutes and 57 seconds. I am really on the edge here, guys. Holy cow, I'm going to have to go fast. I thought my pacing on that was fast. I think I'm going to have to go even faster. So, and it annoys me because I can only hit light touch on everything, right? There's so much that I can talk about in depth with all of this stuff. So we'll see how it goes. But hopefully you enjoyed that. I think that'll be my last streamed dry run for today. I'm going to try to make some tweaks to it, and then we'll take it from there. Thanks a lot for checking in, and as always, your comments are welcome.